Missy Bevers, a 45-year-old wife and mother-in-law of 3, brutally taken from this world by an unknown monster. Who did it and why? Was it a botched robbery gone horribly wrong, or was it something else? Tonight, we'll explore the tragic case of Missy Bevers. This is Night Owl. Good day, one and all. I'm Ted, your host, and welcome back to Night Owl. Tonight, we're off to Midlothian, Texas. A small little town, around 35,000 people. And their biggest industry is cement. They in fact have 3 different cement facilities within town, as well as a steel mill. But it's also the home of Missy Bevers. She was born August 9th, 1970, in a place called Graham, Texas. In 1998, she married a dude named Brandon. Together, they had 3 daughters. They all lived in a place called Red Oak. Now, Missy had a job as a fitness instructor in Midland, where she would hold these camp gladiator boot camps at the Midlothian Creekside Church of Christ. Before sunrise, on April the 18th, 2016, they had a huge thunderstorm. Because of this, the night before, she informed all her students that instead of holding the classes in the parking lot of the church, which is what they normally do, they'd actually hold the sessions inside the church. So, that's what she did. According to some unreleased video surveillance, it showed that she entered the church around 4:18 a.m. while preparing for the fitness class, and she set it up so that they could start by 5 a.m. 5 a.m.? Holy hell! She definitely did more by 5 a.m. than I do the whole day. Around 5 a.m., one of her students entered the church, expecting the class to begin, when she made a horrible discovery. She discovered Missy's body, and she, of course, called emergency services, police, ambulance. But no, she was no longer alive. One of the first things the cops wanted to look at was the CCTV footage. Now, the church did have cameras on the outside, but on the night in question, they were not functional. Now, the cameras on the inside of the church, they were functioning just fine. And what they caught was a possible suspect who was carrying one of those hammers, the kind that's flat on one side for driving the nails in, of course, and a hook on the other side to pull the nails out. Anyway, he or she was walking through the church, shattering pretty much any glass they came up with or came across. The interesting thing about this person is how they were dressed. They were dressed as if they were members of SWAT. They had the whole getup. Now, they believe that Missy was in the middle of bringing the gear that she needed for her physical fitness class out of the truck into the church when she may have met the suspect. There is unreleased footage that does seem to show Missy walking down the hallway with some of her equipment. Now, the police haven't, revealed exactly where within the church, but they do believe that she encountered the suspect somewhere in the church and they did what they did. Now, the police did say that the wounds that was on Missy was consistent with the same weapon this perhaps suspect was carrying. So they didn't come right out and say that that is the weapon that was used. But there was a weapon along with other tools found next to Missy's body. Now, originally, the cops thought that it was a man. But then they started looking at the footage a bit closer and thought, you know what? It's possible the suspect's a woman, just based on the way they're walking. But they actually don't know what the gender of the person was. But they did note it seemed that the suspect was favoring their one leg. They just assumed it was a temporary thing. But in 2021, the FBI did contact a forensic podiatrist named Michael Nurnberg to examine the footage and see if he can at least tell what the gender is or anything about the suspect by the way they walked. And he said that the person stumbling a little bit and moving a bit slower is more than likely due to the gear they're wearing. I mean, that stuff isn't exactly light. And he said it was impossible to tell the gender of the person just simply based on the way they were walking. Now, at first, the police thought it was a simple case of a robbery gone wrong. Perpetrator breaks into a church, hoping to steal what they can, gets discovered by someone they weren't expecting, and, well, evil stuff takes place. But there's a problem with that theory. Nothing was missing. Aside from the damage, broken glass and whatnot done by the suspect with their hammer, there was nothing out of the ordinary. In fact, Missy's purse and iPad was found next to her. Now, there was one theory that started going around. Some source, I suppose, reported to a station, the WFAA network, and they said that it was only supposed to be, it looked like it was a robbery. But this perpetrator's one and only target all along was supposed to be Missy. The police actually had their own theory. They allegedly got a warrant, and they suspected that the suspect actually owned a smartphone. Surprise, surprise, who doesn't? and that they actually used the phone to stalk Missy and perhaps even record what they did to her. Now, the police actually even had a theory that the suspect that they seen at the church might be the same person that's been kind of harassing Missy. You see, some dude was leaving her, as described, creepy and strange messages to Missy on the website LinkedIn. In fact, the cops even think that she may have actually talked to this dude. I mean, that's assuming it's the same guy. However, keep in mind, they did successfully track the dude down. And according to him, they were just supposed to be a bit of harmless flirting, nothing more. Now, as is fairly common in cases like these, Missy's family was talked to by the cops. In particular, her husband Brandon and her father-in-law Randy, both of which had rock-solid alibis. Brandon was off fishing in Mississippi, and her father-in-law Randy was traveling in California at the time. Though Randy sort of roused a bit of suspicion, though. It seemed that he took Short into a dry cleaner's shortly after Missy's passing, and had to have blood removed. Now, he claimed that the blood was spilled when a couple of dogs were fighting, and upon checking the DNA and whatnot on the shirt of the blood, it was indeed not human blood, but dog blood. Now, in May 2016, the police released a picture that was taken from a CCTV camera from the parking lot of a sporting goods store called SWFA Outdoors. Months later, in December 2016, SWFA actually released all its surveillance video on the internet in regards to this vehicle. It's a Nissan Altima. They think it was made between the years of 2010 and 2012, white. And it was shown coming on the parking lot, which is fairly close to the church, and driving around for a bit and taking off. Now, when he arrived, it was around 2 a.m. And as I said, he or she was on site for a few minutes, and then they left. Now, the police do want to talk to the owner of this vehicle, but they do say he's not exactly a suspect. They just want him to identify himself so they can talk. Now, as happens with a lot of cases, they offer a reward for any assistance in arresting a suspect. It started off at $10,000, and before long it doubled to $20,000. Then it went up to $50,000. As of 2021, it's actually up to $150,000 for any information that could lead to a capture of a suspect in this crime. And of course, the police gets lots of tips, which they check out each and every one. Most of them, unfortunately, don't exactly pan out. But then there's people such as myself, other YouTubers that will put out the story to try to keep it fresh in everyone's mind and maybe even jar someone's memory loose. And that they may remember something that people have forgotten. And if that someone happens to be you, then whatever you do, don't keep it to yourself. Contact the Midlothian Police Department immediately. Their phone number is 1-972-775-3333. Don't forget, the tip you give might take an open case and turn it into a solved case. Missy Bevers, a devoted wife, a loving mother, an instructor that loved to assist her students in reaching their fitness goals. Until one fateful night, her life was taken by an unknown fiend in the darkness of a church. This monster took her away from everyone that she loved and everyone that loved her. All I can say is that I truly hope this case is solved one day soon so that Missy, her family, and her friends can finally have the peace they all truly deserve. But what do you think? Do you think it was just a robbery that went wrong, a case of being at the wrong place at the wrong time? Or do you think that she was actually targeted by someone? Someone that may have had a grudge or something along that line? Let me know what you think in the comments. After all, gotta have an opinion, and everybody's opinion matters. Now, before you go, if you haven't already, if you could please hit like and subscribe and share this video because it really does help my channel out. And I hope to see you again real soon. And remember, be you good or be you wicked, everyone deserves justice. Good night.